Good afternoon, all. My name is Damian Ako, and I'm here to discuss the xenophobic attack in South Africa on black African communities. I'm live on Majesty TV in Amsterdam.
My name is Albert Dodu. I'm here to contribute to the discussion on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa.
My name is, people they know me in the name of Walubinga, founder of Africa School of Thought, and I preach sympathy religion. So I'm here to share with other brothers to what's happening in South Africa.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeremiah Okeke. No, you don't. My name is Jeremiah Okeke. I am live from Majesty Television. I am here to contribute on the discussion on the xenophobic recent South Africa.
My name is Chief Nnamdi Ugozo, Ozodunukofia by title. I am here live on the Majesty Christian Television studio in Netherlands, Amsterdam, to discuss about xenophobic attack in South Africa against our foreigners in their land. Thank you very much.
Well, my name is Osrobi Nitaki. I am live on Majesty TV in Amsterdam, and we are going to interrogate the issue of xenophobic attacks against blacks in particular in South Africa.
Well, welcome to Majesty TV. My name is Apostle Helen Dr. your hostess. And our topic today is Amsterdam African Community on xenophobic attack in South Africa. So we thank you for tuning in, and we are pleased that you have welcomed us with in your home with any of the devices which you are using to watch us. So feel free to call our studio line on 020-3374-160. And those of you who may be watching us live right now on Facebook, remember it is Radio Voice of Niger, Facebook. Then make your comments and tell us what you feel about this very topic. Thank you. Xenophobia is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as dislike of or prejudice against people from other countries. So in very recent times, the resurgence of xenophobic attack against other African nationalities in South Africa has gained worldwide attention and general condemnation. So we want to look into it today. We want to examine what actually is the cause of this problem, who are the people responsible, and how can this thing be solved. So we encourage each and every one of you watching us right now to just give us a call or make your own suggestions, even through the WhatsApp on our studio line. Thank you. Well, welcome, gentlemen, to Majesty TV.
Thank you.
And welcome every one of you. You are very important, and we are very glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So in this discussion, we are just going to be spontaneous. So when a question is asked, I'm not going to say Mr. This or Mr. B. So permit us as well, because we are so many in numbers, your name tags may not be reflecting. So it's only being seen as African, Amsterdam African Community on xenophobic attack. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right. So my first question goes this way. Having watched what is playing out in South Africa and how the whole attack has been carried on, how do you feel about it, first and foremost? How do you feel about it? Do you have any family member that were attacked or that was involved?
Personally, let me start by saying I felt bad because this is not the first time the issue of xenophobic attacks started in South Africa. I think this is probably the third time. And I put the blame at the doorstep of the government, and especially the president, Cyril Ramaphosa. I would have expected him to deal with the situation the Ghanaian way. What do I mean by the Ghanaian way? In the 50s and the 60s, Nigerians were part of us. I grew up to play and live with Nigerians. And even we thought they were part of us. Later, until the 70s, you know, when we talk about commerce, Nigerians love commerce, they love to trade, they love business. And I personally know Nigerians to be very, very business-oriented people. And their greatest enemy is poverty. The Nigerian don't like to be poor. So he will do whatever it takes enable him live in affluence.
You like to be poor.
I don't want to be poor either. But the Nigerian blood is that the Nigerian don't normally, if you watch their things, when a Nigerian gets from the village to the cities and he wants to return to the village, he goes with a Porsche car, and then the mother and the father will start dancing around the car.
Yeah, it's true.
Am I wrong?
It's true.
Nigerians don't want poverty. But when the Nigerians were in Ghana, where I was born, in the 50s and 60s, they took over commerce. Every shop in Ghana is run by an Alataman or a Nigerian. They were in charge of everything. You go to Akotia Diamonds, they were there in their thousands. You go to Obuasi Gold, they are there in their millions. And getting to the 70s, early 70s, when Professor K. Buzia became the prime minister, there was pressure on him to find an antidote to the Nigerians taking over our economy. So instead of attacking people and killing them like it's happening in South Africa, he went to Parliament and promulgated a law known as the Aliens Compliance Order, giving all aliens a stipulated time to pack back and baggage and leave Ghana.
Okay, that was done because of fear.
Yeah, they didn't kill anybody.
Because if you people were hardworking,
Yeah.
do you think Nigerians would have come to your country to take over?
Well,
So I can see that they came to your country and they opened your eyes.
yes,
So
they
certain
love to
areas you
trade,
never
they
knew.
have money, they went into the downtrodden of the
And
society.
they brought that beauty out of
Out of
it.
it.
So, I mean, forming the Alliance Compliance
Compliance order.
Alliance or whatever order,
Yeah.
would that have been the best thing to have done?
To me, is the best thing.
So you would have
Unlike
expected-
what is happening in South Africa, where they are killing them. No,
I don't think
Can
this
I-
one as well is yes.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
There, if you don't mind.
Yes.
If I may buy from what my brother was saying, I think he's very correct. Xenophobia is not something new. It has been from history. Like he rightly pointed out, around the 1963, the Ghanaians actually expelled Nigeria from Ghana. In 1984, if I'm right, Nigeria expelled Ghanaians from. You remember the common Ghana must go.
Yeah. Ghana must go, yes.
there was no
So it has been in our history.
Yeah.
Even in the Western world, it may surprise you that the element of xenophobia is also practiced here, even in America.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is about the attack. So the dislike of people, and then the attacking those people because you dislike them. That's what we are discussing today. The measure my brother said was right to have been applied. It's a more suffer landing measure to reduce the amount of casualties or amount of death that could occur if it's not controlled.
Yeah.
But I think if we have to be very honest to ourselves and to the society, is that everybody has a responsibility to play in order to curb this xenophobic attitudes. Generally, even in Africa and also in Western. Maybe we'll come more to that to discuss how does it affect us, not necessarily directly by family members, but as a society, as an individual from those countries.
Yeah, okay.
When we go to in the course of the discussion, we'll be able to highlight on those areas as
Yes.
well.
So it's just a start.
Okay.
So let me hear from you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you very much, Apostle Helen. Personally, myself, first of all, I have to condemn what is going on in South Africa.
Yes.
Whatever they call it, whether they call it xenophobia or whatsoever, the approach of South African government is not the right approach. You understand me? Because why I should say this is that it's heartbreaking to see my fellow human being set on fire.
Yes.
And in another incident, another gory video I watched, I saw a young man running for his life.
Yes.
At a certain point, he could no stress
Continue.
further.
Yes.
And they unleashed him and a man bring out a very sharp object
Hey!
and pluck out his two eyes.
Jesus!
Believing me, blood gushed out all the places. When I saw that very video, I shed tears. Even the followers of Jesus Christ, like they said in the Bible, did not suffer such persecution. So, what are we saying? Is that it is unacceptable, it is inconsequentiality to humanity
Exactly.
for Africans doing such a thing to their fellow brothers, no matter what is at stake.
Exactly.
So what I'm trying to say is that we Africans in Netherlands, in strong terms, unanimously,
Yes.
are condemning
Exactly.
the xenophobia attack on our people in South Africa.
Exactly.
And something has to be done, not only
it.
mere saying or discussions.
Condemnation.
AU has to impose a law
Against South
to
Africa.
hold South Africans responsible
Yes.
for all the victims of xenophobia in their country, because there are a better way to handle this very issue. Like here in Netherlands, let me cite an example. For example, if they choose to take everybody home, every foreigner home in this very Netherlands, give them 1 month, they will do it. The only approach is to the government to set up deportation camp in every city. And once that is done, they will reinforce their police and they will swing into action. Give them 1 month, they will arrest all the foreigners in this Netherlands,
If they
take them to deportation camp, and from there, take them to their various countries of origin. Why can't South Africa do the same way? But rather, they choose a very barbaric way. I think no country on this planet Earth will like to be identified
South
with
Africa.
such image South Africans have portrayed.
And-
Let me tell you, you know, something that happens during the era of in about 4,000, 5,000 years ago, when a certain culture in Africa, they go to a distant land, they kidnap people or apprehend the people, they tie them, they bring them home, they bury them alive, and pour libation on them, and claim that they are their gods. Some families and communities are still suffering the bondage up to today,
Yes.
praying fervently
Yes.
to be free
Delivered,
from
yes.
such or delivered from such
Because God
bondage.
had a-
But today,
a voice
something
of
that
wisdom.
took place
Yes.
5,000 years ago
It's affecting them.
is still affecting some families and communities. And today, in 21st century, 2019, South Africans are slaughtering the blood of innocent people in their country. And the federal government of South Africa could not do anything to stop them. And you say that we should be quiet. Let me tell you, I'm very bitter.
Yes, not only you.
I'm very angry. I urge every
Speak,
foreigner
speak. Yes.
in South Africa to leave South Africa.
Yes.
Because it's a coast land. It is a coast land.
It is. It is.
And after this very interview, there's one thing more I would like to say.
Yeah.
Believe in me, because a lot is attributed to this very incident.
So hold it for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let me hear from the other two.
Oh, yes.
The camera is not picking you up very well.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate what we recently witnessed in South Africa regarding whom they call foreigners in their land, which has led to the expression xenophobic
Exactly.
attack. If we take xenophobia regularly,
Yes.
it means
Foreign.
fear of something foreign.
Yes.
In other words, the word doesn't really portray what actually happened in South Africa. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't see myself as a foreigner in any part
African
of
country.
Africa.
Yes.
You know, so I would rather we look into other paradigms to really look at what happened in South Africa. Anybody can describe it, you know, in his or her own way. But personally, I can see it as an act of man's inhumanity to a fellow man. Somebody can also be right if you describe it as the failure, the breakdown
of the bond that links the human family. Because what happened there cannot even happen in the animal kingdom. For a fellow human being to have the conscience, the guts to set a fellow human being on fire, or to pick up a large sized brick and then break the skull of a fellow human being.
Jesus.
It shocks the conscience of any reasonable human being. And I'm appalled that up until this moment, there has not been any reasonable pushback from the government of South Africa.
Exactly.
In terms of prosecution, in terms of arrest,
Yes.
and in terms of, bringing those people who are responsible for this action to justice. For a number of them to come on the social media and
To be
claim
speaking, yes.
that they are the mastermind of those things that happened begs a lot of questions.
And they are still threatening.
And they're still threatening. So it is something that is condemnable. It is something that can never be, justified under the word xenophobia, because I don't see any justification for that thing to happen. It is condemnable.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'll take on the mantle now before I let my dear brother here continue. The question was, how do we feel about what is happening? First of all, let me just say that I was gutted when I witnessed what was happening. Of course, there are various clips that have been shown, some of which was not even South Africa, but of course, it was also thrown into the mill because of what was happening. As Africans, I think we need to understand a few things that define who we are as people. Regardless of the fact that, we've been broken down into nations, we are all one people. South Africa and what happens there today is something that if you look at it from behind the scenes, you can understand that it is not something that they themselves literally engineered. And I'm saying that based on the fact that the white, and I'm going to be very delicate in how I position this.
Yes.
The white folks in South Africa have their own agenda. Now, obviously, they would have South Africans to basically play out the agenda for them. Okay? And this is something that we as Africans as a whole should also become mindful of. I'm not saying this to justify what it is that they're doing, but I'm saying it to condemn the fact that they allow themselves to be used so that this type of attacks can be, perpetuated on fellow Africans. So, in a nutshell, I would say I was gutted when I saw it. I just couldn't believe it. And to take on what my brother said earlier on, that for another human being to beat up and burn somebody and so on and so forth, I mean, I'm an African. I understand that we as Africans, sometimes we can do things, doesn't mean that it is right. In Ghana, there has been mob justice where one human being was literally, their own Ghanaian was killed like that.
Just because somebody stole Gary.
Do you get my point? Do you get my point?
Do
you get my point?
On her.
Exactly. And this is something that we as a people, we need to enlighten ourselves to shy away from. Because it's not human.
It's barbaric.
Exactly. It's not human. So if we want to look at what is happening in South Africa and we want to basically push it onto South Africans without we ourselves looking at ourselves in the mirror to understand that there's a lot of work we also need to do. If we don't look at it from that angle, then we'll miss the boat.
Yeah, you've spoken more in proverbial context, or honestly speaking. So you are indirectly trying to shift the blame to the white folks. Maybe they must have engineered. Are we stupid for them to engineer you against your own fellow black? And then you go.
But they've been doing that for years.
I mean, in this time again.
My dear sister, they've been doing that for years.
No. I think this is an issue of hate. This is an issue of prejudice. It's an issue of hate, and it's an issue of jealousy, because the South African, these black South Africans who were fighting this way and making some of these sarcastic comments on social media, they are so brutal, they are heartless. You could see that something has gone wrong. They are no more human beings.
May I simply take on briefly before I give my
right.
I think that I do understand the frustration with how you are also.
And up till now, the government have not made any tangible comment on this issue. They've not arrested their people.
What about?
They are not commenting on it.
But we'll come to that and in a long.
Let's
Let's just give this people a chance to talk.
What I would like to
We'll come
say
to that
is,
because
what I would like to say is, I saw the pictures, the image is horrible pictures. We Congolese, we lose people there, where our doctors and physicians, they used to go and work there.
The only people
And
that is the Ugandans.
Yeah. So these things is horrible. I don't support it.
No.
I condemn it.
Yes.
But in Africa School of Thought,
Yeah.
we are above of emotion. We have, if today, okay, emotion beat us, but tomorrow it will appear again. Neither in South Africa or in other African countries. Look at how Rwanda they butch each other. Neighbors. Horrible. So we find ourselves in a situation that no country can let another country.
Yeah.
Nigeria suck Ghanaians, Ghanaians suck Nigerians, Congolese suck Angolans suck us in the horrible. So we have to build ourselves strong above emotion to find a solution in this situation. You say that he blamed white. Maybe it's not he blamed white. When Greece was in a crisis, up to now, Italy, these European countries, millions of them, they are going in South Africa. But the immigration of European in South Africa is not known. They don't talk. European, they never tell their people that they are immigrating Africans. No, you will know only when there is war. Then you see planes start to go and pick them. Media here keep quiet. And even show black coming in Europe. Only one side, one way. They don't show that. Me, I'm with you. These pictures is very horrible. I don't tolerate it. I don't support it. But we have to prepare for tomorrow. We have to go above our our emotions and to find ideas to prevent this never come again. It's terrible.
I think let me just say something. I think it's very correct. All of us have expressed our bitterness, our anger about what happened in South Africa. But I think it's important to know the root of this. What is the cause of why should people react the way they reacted? Why should people kill? We have to know what are the elements that cause this action. Before you be able to talk about the solution, diagnose the causes, identify them, and then provide solution. And I want to, in my own way, classify this the cause of this xenophobic attack in South Africa in 3 different ways. There's an economic failure, I call the political failure, and the social failure of the society. If I might define them a bit broader, what I mean by economic failure is that there's an adage that says a hungry man is an angry man. So when somebody is hungry, is angry. In our normal discussion, my brother was saying that Nigerians don't like to be poor. So sometimes when poverty comes in, you tend to do things that are inhuman. Exactly. So in order to survive. So, and one that has been very common in any of these areas that you have experienced xenophobic behavior is economic problem. That is downtown in economic growth, that is poverty, and then the indigenous begin to think of, hey, why am I not begin to look at it? This is the cause of my problem. And then they start attacking people. That's the economic aspect of it. The political aspect of it is that we mentioned the president of South Africa and other politicians. When a minister, an elected or appointed minister in an African country say that it is not possible for foreign traders to live in harmony with local traders in South Africa, then it goes a long way to tell you that the politicians are fueling the cause of what's happening in Africa. The president of South Africa, in one of his presidential speeches in the open stadium, say he will ensure, one of his agenda was to ensure that foreigners leave his country, and the foreigners is referring to are the black Africans. So
terrible.
when such utterances are coming out from somebody who you expect to be a provider of peace,
But what was his reason?
because he thinks there's a way, it's a political, when I say political reason, it's a way to gather support. Because you know that the most of the people who are actually fighting this are illiterate, they are not educated. So if you tell them that, hey, your suffering is because of these foreigners that are here, they say, okay, then when I come to government, I will push them out. Then they will vote for him.
Exactly.
So that is the mindset of people who are educated.
Okay, now, after 18 years of his 27 years imprisonment on the robbing island,
Yeah.
the day he walked out of the gates of the prison, the revered Nelson Mandela made a statement. And I have been thinking about that statement up to today. He said, and I quote, "If it is not right for the white man to oppress the black man, it is equally not right for the black man to oppress the white man." He feared the repercussions of the black people under apartheid. And with their freedom, he knew the blacks were going to attack and kill the whites. And with that, they will lose everything, because economic power, the best lands are all in the hands of the whites. But with that simple statement Nelson Mandela made, why are black South Africans not attacking whites now?
Yes, exactly. Or the Chinese people.
Or the
who are
Chinese, or the
including
Pakistanis, or the
everywhere.
Syrians,
Yes.
and they're attacking
Why?
only blacks?
Yes, I can. I was reading it. Let me just
Hold on.
maybe a solution. An answer to that. If you don't, is that you want to respond to what he said?
Yeah,
Why?
just go
Okay.
after your guy.
Yeah, because I was reading.
You see,
Let me just.
Let him land.
Okay, land.
I was reading a research. I think 2008 or something like that. One of the reasons they gave was that I'm trying to answer your question. Sir, was that during the apartheid, there was a lot of influx of whites in South Africa, more or less fewer blacks in Africa. So after the apartheid, during that period of time, the blacks were not able to integrate, with the culture of South Africa. So now that after the apartheid, the blacks came in. And with their own culture, ideology, and way of dressing and stuff. So they were not fully integrated in the system.
Yeah.
So the South Africans, they were native South Africans, were not used to accommodating foreign blacks. So to answer your question, that theory, it's not my theory, says that because of the inability for them to accommodate the foreign blacks that were coming in,
right.
they now resist them and push them out, and that's the cause of this. So that's what they provided an answer to.
Yes.
You made a very good, step by letting us to identify the causes of this very problem.
Yes.
Of which there have been several narratives which have come up in order to really pinpoint what led to these barbaric attacks. And one of them, which you didn't
elaborate
on, is the issue of
social culture.
The South African men
Yes.
losing their women
Exactly.
That's
I was
social
to comment
foreigners.
on that.
to foreigners,
Exactly.
especially Nigerians.
Nigerians, yes.
When this thing happened, my friend called me from London, and he told me that what he personally think is the cause of this problem is the fact that these South African men who are used to being taken care of by their women are now losing
Their women. Yes.
To
Nigerian
the
men.
foreigners with a different lifestyle and value system.
Yes.
That he went to Cape Town. He flew to Cape Town several years ago. From Cape Town, he flew to Johannesburg. He never saw a South African man
Yes.
walking in those two airports. Not even a man. The whole workers in the two airports were women. That pushed him to pull one of them aside and said, "Why haven't I seen a male staff
Yes.
in the whole of this airport?"
Yes.
The lady started laughing. She said, "Ha ha ha."
House husbands
You
they
can
are.
never see them
House
on the
husbands.
street. They are in their homes,
Yes. You see
waiting
it?
for us to come home with our paychecks.
You see?
And take care of them.
House husbands.
The only guys, according to the lady, whom you can see on the street, fighting to make ends meet, are either Nigerians
Yeah.
or Mozambicans.
Yes.
And that's a fact.
Yeah, that's the social cultural aspect of it. That I mentioned.
Yeah.
So, one of the videos I watched on WhatsApp recently,
Yes, the
from
lady.
one of their ladies said,
Yeah.
Nigerian men are so sweet.
Yes.
I
They
watched
can
it.
take care of
Yes.
you. They give you money for taxi. They
you know,
do everything
they
for
do
you.
everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and naturally, I mean, where
That's
you
the
have
way we
honey,
are.
where you have honey,
Yeah.
flocks the bees.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so these South African men who are used to, you know,
Yes. Idle.
reckless living,
Yeah.
have now seen, oh,
Can I come in?
Excuse me.
no. I am going to shift my analysis to you, from which you can now continue, because you made a point now that it is the West South Africans who are engineering these blacks to attack fellow blacks.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really. It is something
didn't look
everybody
at it
watching
from that
us.
angle,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's something
Yeah.
everybody watching us can
Yes.
learn from.
Yes,
If
exactly.
if there is an element of truth to it,
Yeah.
of which I have my doubts
Yeah.
Yeah.
as to the veracity of that very
Exactly.
Okay,
my
so
brother.
let me land.
Wait.
So, having been losing their women to Nigerians,
Yes.
fueled their animosity against Nigerians and other foreigners, and they started attacking them.
Yeah.
Which means that there is little or no economic reason as to this xenophobic attack. You made an assertion that it is the white that is engineering these people to attack fellow blacks. Then my question is, in the eyes of these white engineers,
Right.
what stake do they think the black Africans have in South Africa that makes them to be threatened, that makes their comfort zone to be threatened, to the extent that they cannot engineer black South Africans to attack?
But you see, the bigger...
Because the economy is in their
I
hands.
totally understand your question.
Yeah.
But the issue here has nothing to do with what benefit. It has to do with the political clout
Yeah.
that they are trying to hold on to.
Yeah,
it has
because-
to do with that. It's nothing to do with the quote unquote the economics.
No.
It has nothing to do.
No.
I had a discussion with a South African who is a white South African. He lives in Joburg,
Yeah.
right? And listening to part of what he was basically telling me
Yeah.
gave me the impression that whoa, we are just looking at, you know, I dare say the
Periphery.
surface.
Yes, the periphery. Yes.
Exactly. And that isn't what we should be looking at.
No.
And if you listen to the opposition of the South African government, the opposition, he also said something. He said he knows that this what is happening to his country
Yeah.
is not something that his countrymen kind of gave birth to.
Yeah.
And listen, when you listen, I wish I could link the
We know.
the
I'm
thing.
tired
Exactly.
of Africans trying to blame
Let me come in. Let me come in.
their
No,
naivety to a
before
white man.
you come in,
I'm
nobody is
tired.
blaming
I'm
a white
tired.
man. Nobody is blaming the white man.
At
That's
the-
why I
at
said
this century we are still blaming them.
this
we
is
want
why
to say
I
they're
mentioned to you
colonizing
that
us
Can
we
I come
need
in
to-
at the
before you
junction?
come in,
You
let me
can come in
land.
at any time.
I mentioned the fact that we as a people, we need to look ourselves in the mirror. That has nothing to do with blaming somebody. We need to look. Listen, I said we burn our own people, we kill our own people, we do all of the things we're seeing happening in South Africa. We do it. But
But
you
not
see,
to this extent.
But
hold on.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
the same background. Like,
No.
for example, the
Excuse me.
woman who stole Gary in Ghana,
Yeah.
Excuse
and she
me.
was burnt,
Burnt.
has something to do with crime and punishment.
Yeah, but
People who are being killed in South Africa, they haven't even stolen.
no, you stole
a
Gary.
piece of chocolate.
Even if you stole
I
Gary,
hear you loud.
Does
and
that
clear.
amount
I might
to that?
agree with you on that, my brother, because even in Nigeria,
we are
I'm from
taking
Nigeria.
it
Yeah.
yes.
far.
When you travel from
this
Kaduna
context.
from Abuja to Kaduna, you see all these bandits on the road,
the road,
Yeah.
killing people.
Yeah.
I don't know human beings.
Yeah.
Please,
Thank you.
Can I say something?
that's
Because
what
when
I'm saying.
everybody
That's
is
what I'm
talking,
saying.
They haven't
nobody's
stolen
talking.
anything. They were
They're human
being
beings. They're human beings.
Yeah.
That is a
Excuse me,
different-
that's the point I want
Killing
to-
is altogether.
Killing is
All
wrong.
right, gentlemen,
Killing is
gentlemen.
killing is wrong.
One house, please.
Excuse
One
me,
house.
please. When
Yeah,
everybody
Chief.
is talking, nobody is talking. I believe in audacity,
Discipline. Yes, okay, sir.
one after the other.
Continue.
What I intend to say here is that, in as much as we are blaming South Africans for this barbaric act which they initiated on fellow black Africans in their land, which we all were condemning, in as much as we are laying these blames on them, there is one thing I want to point out. You see, let's make a few analyses about what bring some things that contributed to all this very problem. And to my own view, I can tell you that migration is part of it. And when you analyze what triggered to migration, you come down to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, you find out that bad governance triggers to migration. For example, I'll give an example with my own country where I come from, Nigeria, for example. My own country, Nigeria, has a lot of mineral resources. But as we speak today, we have no good road.
Electricity.
We have no electricity, no tap running water, no infrastructure, no good school, no good standard hospital with modern equipment. Believing me, it's heartbreaking. Last time, a few years back, our president was sick. He went to England and spent a whopping of 30 million US for his personal treatment. Only our president alone. What about his ministers, aides, and the senators? Their own we do not know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there is one mistake our people are making. There is no love. The worst aspect of it is that we have lost human right. There is no human right. Then tell me how the citizens of that very country will not be forced to migrate where they believe they can get a greener pasture. So my point is this: African leaders, right from my country, need to build their country in a standard form that once a child graduated from university, he will can be able to secure a job. What does it take Nigeria to station factories at a strategic area? Common sports can create job in millions in Nigeria. Let assume now, Minister of Sports do the analysis, create all these sports that is going on in this Europe, ranging from field event, track event, bicycle event, football, Formula 1, all these sports, motor racing. It can give us work of millions of works. Then from that place, you shift into railway transportation.
Okay, Chief.
What I'm trying to say is solution that can stop all this migration. Somebody leaving his country to another country.
Let me just add something. You have spoken very well. And if you look at what you said and what my brother actually said, you mentioned about migration.
Yeah.
And you linked it with economic issue because there were economic problems, then they immigrated to another country. That's what you said. So that's actually, you also mentioned about social issues. So if you look at all these things we are saying, all of us have said here, it boils down to three elements that I mentioned.
Yes, economic, political
factors.
Yes.
Economic factor and social factor.
Right.
Yes.
So we can discuss on these three elements.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
To get the root cause of this problem.
Yes.
And then we begin to provide solutions to
Exactly.
them. So you already pointed out one of the possible solutions.
Yeah.
But let us explore these causes
Yeah.
that I mentioned. Unless somebody disagree on those three
No,
factors.
we do agree.
Yeah.
Let me say
I'm
something.
going to take
Let me add to what I do agree to what Brother Damien has said. The economic, the political, and the social. They are. I mean, they are the root cause to what is we are witnessing in South Africa and in other African countries. Okay.
Yeah.
But you made mention of migration because the graduates are leaving their home country and they are going to another country. Migration is not just only for economic reasons. There are other factors that can make people to migrate. But if I will point to the side of economic, now you migrated to another person's country. You need to obey, you need to respect the laws of the country. You made mention of the woman who put herself on social media and talking about how extravagant the Nigerian men can be,
Right.
and how they are lavishing money on them. Okay, that's a very good plus for you men. But look at it from another critical point of view. How are they lavishing the money really? How are they? Where are they getting the monies that they are lavishing that way? That will now amount another black man to become a hater, to the point that he wants to destroy them.
Yeah.
So if we also bring it to this land, except we don't want to be very, very right, but I'm talking as a woman of God. I know that even in the country that we are in, sometimes our people have also gone through things like this. They have been harassed by other cultures, which I don't want to mention. They've been harassed by other ethnic groups here, just because the Nigerian man have gone to get somebody else from outside Nigeria and then lavishing them with so much money, and they're pampering these girls. And what do they do at the end? They go back to their boyfriends and then connive with them and come back to rob these Nigerian boys. Do you know how many Nigerian men who have been robbed in this very country that we are in? they've been robbed, they've been stabbed, and some of them have been killed.
Yeah.
Unannounced.
Yeah.
So we need to look inwards and we examine ourselves. This lavishing you guys are lavishing on foreign women, why don't you lavish it on our fellow Nigerian so that we can talk about you guys?
I like that.
Why do you always go to foreigners? When you go to foreigners, you need to go and lavish your money and then provoke them to that level and then come and die premature. And then they only bring your cups. When you are good, you don't stay in Africa. It's only when you die they
I feel you. I feel you very well. I feel you very well.
The issue of being generous, generosity, as far as I'm concerned, is a relative term. And personally, you don't dictate for a man who has gone all the way to make his money how he should apply his money. And I remember one popular saying of one economist that every money in the economy must be spent. It doesn't matter how it is spent. It's been to the advantage of the South African economy that we are making the money and we are rolling the money within the economy. So that money our guys are spending on them is bringing some people out of poverty. I know Nigerian men. A Nigerian guy can, if he is rich,
yes,
he can pick up $1,000 or $5,000 and give it to
a girlfriend.
Having done that, you have sown a seed in the life of that person.
It's true.
It doesn't matter how anybody.
Not necessarily, but that's more economics. But then we'll go to that.
But then I'm coming. I don't really see much economic impact as far as this barbaric act are concerned. I don't see much economics to it, because if you want to talk about the economy, you can see from the point of view that foreigners have come and they have taken over the economy of the country. I tell you this, there are not less than 2,000 Nigerian doctors in Johannesburg.
Yes.
Working in their hospitals, making sure that they are healed when they get sick. Can you tell me that he is in any kind of competition with an average South African who cannot write his name?
Yes.
Who doesn't go to school? That the Nigerian doctor has come to take his job? Or has come to, hijack the economy. It doesn't go like that. Nothing comes out of nothing. There is no basis whatsoever for them to feel that a graduate from Nigeria who have come to work there is in any kind of competition with them. If you can do those jobs, why don't you do them?
Let me come in. This gentleman said something in the beginning, and you are all basically putting a deaf ear to it. Now, first of all, he mentioned the fact that Nigerians were in Ghana, that Nigerians were sacked out of Ghana.
Yeah.
Now, he went on to talk about, I think you mentioned it, that even there was this Ghana must go. Now, that also happened. Now, you ask yourself, with the template you just created, the economic advantage that Ghanaians had in Nigeria when they were there, was it a threat to the average Nigerian to allow the average Nigerian to say Ghana must go? Do you get where I'm coming from? So I'm only trying to mirror a few things so that we can, like he said, analyze it, get to where we can then come with solutions.
I'm going to land now.
Please.
So what I want to say
we are talking private. Is that we are talking individual. We have to talk something about concerning Africa, countries. We are talking individual.
Please let me say
I want
this.
to say something. You quote Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela make a deal. The deal was good. And Thabo Mbeki came, he continued with that deal. Then another man came. Zuma. Zuma didn't respect the deal. Now in South Africa, the economy in South Africa is a double, is a
gets
divide.
back to what I was talking about.
It's dividing.
Exactly.
European, they have their economy, and the black, South Africa, they have their economy. So, Brother Man talk about immigration. I agree with him. If it is to immigrate, immigration is no good things. Look, we miss promotion. We are here. We are victim on this immigration because the generation were before us, they didn't tell us. But we today, we have to tell generation who come after us.
Yes.
That immigration is no good.
It's not good.
It's no good things. We miss a lot of things.
It's
brother.
true. Of course, it's true.
It's difficult to
Wait.
That
is another thing.
No,
Let me
if
land.
you are on the positive
It's
side,
difficult for me
you don't
to
feel it.
swallow
let me
things like this because I know
land.
it's not correct. So
Let me
don't
land.
make a general statement.
Let me
For me
land.
to ask, it's difficult for me to follow it.
Let me come.
I also don't like it.
He
If
brings
you are 1%, you're enjoying it. It doesn't mean.
No, he's generalizing. He's saying it's not good.
Immigration is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Immigration is decreed by God. It's an act of God.
Wait.
From
In
time
this century,
immemorial.
in
We are not
this
talking
century,
about.
moving.
We are not talking
People are
about
moving.
immigration.
God has ordained it that
Me,
people
I just
Let me ask you, my
repeat.
brother, if Nigeria
It's good.
was world built
When
as it's supposed to be,
Yes.
with all the money we
This is the
had,
view.
Yeah.
You have to
will
see
you leave
things in
Nigeria?
that way.
No!
No.
I don't know.
Then
Let me
why
ask
are
a
you
question.
saying
Ask
that?
a question now.
Why are
Can
you
I
saying
answer your
that
question?
the
Can I answer your
context
question?
of immigration,
Can I
like
answer
you
your
were saying,
question? Can I answer
let
your
us
question?
reason
Can I answer your
to
question?
blame our
Can I
leaders
answer your
for all these crimes that
Blame
is
your
happening
leader.
on.
Yes.
Can I answer your question?
Yes,
Can I
you
answer your
answer
question?
Let him answer the
You asked me
question.
whether it is a good thing. I say I don't know whether I would have migrated to Holland. Maybe yes. There are Americans that are in Holland. They are not poor. There are medical. You mentioned about some medical doctors that are in South Africa. They are not poor.
Yeah.
No.
There are medical. So immigration. What is immigration? It's not necessarily
For
only
economic reasons.
reasons.
That's I said
Not
before.
necessarily
Exactly.
political
Yes.
reasons.
So,
So
let-
don't
let-
generalize immigration as bad. That's what I don't like.
No, I agree with
If
that.
there's some aspect of it is not good.
In
Don't
general terms.
Don't mix.
Of
Don't mix.
immigration
In general
has
terms.
to do with
Any
economic
difference.
reasons.
No.
Of course,
It depends on the
there are
class.
90%
Wow.
of people that are migrating to
No,
another
no,
country
you are
for
wrong.
greener pasture
You mean
are because the
Africans?
economic
No.
of their country is
That's-
bad.
That's wrong. You mean
It's not wrong, my dear
Africa?
brother. It's not
that's
wrong.
true.
You mean-
That's
Can
true.
I
That's
say
the
something?
true nature of it.
No. You mean 90% of Africans, not 90% of people that are migrating.
Let me say this here.
90% of Africans that are migrating.
How many people are dying in the ocean?
Yes.
But the
Think
Africans,
about that.
The
Yeah,
Africans.
the Africans,
But not
they
the
are
Africans
dying.
like
They are
the
leaving the
West,
country
right?
because the economy is bad.
Bring an American
let's-
here.
okay,
working.
one house.
That's my
One
point.
house.
What is it?
I'm not dragging to
Excuse me,
make
one
a
house.
point that I will. No,
One
I'm
house.
saying the fact.
Gentlemen,
No.
gentlemen,
Okay.
one house,
Let's make
one
it
house,
one house.
Listen.
one house.
Yes.
I'm still the hostess.
Please.
Let
Thank
me
you.
land.
No, wait.
He's been hijacked.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've hijacked you, and I put a stoppage now. So I want to give you.
Please.
You're progressing.
I'd like to talk about
Those
this
of you who
also.
are watching us, please
Yeah.
feel free to give us a call on the studio line, which is 020 33 74 160. We are on this interesting topic. So join us.
One issue that has been agitating my mind is when the South Africans started these attacks, were they aware that no country can live in isolation? For the mere fact that MTN, if you go to Ghana,
Yes.
MTN is
Yes.
the major communication provider.
All over Africa.
All over Africa.
Good point.
ShopRite.
ShopRite is all over the continent. Did they thought about the fact that those companies can be attacked too? And if you don't want migrants to come into your country, why do you sell your companies to another country? You see, but they did not take all these things into consideration. Look, I understood the bitterness in chief. You
So they
know,
have given
I watched
franchise.
an embassy
Yes,
in South
Giving
Africa
franchise, so it's not-
burned down
Yeah.
with human beings
So it's not
burned.
Nigerians.
And I could not believe how a human being created in the image of God could do such a thing to a fellow human being.
This is not a topic of
Things
one
like
day.
You see,
Africa.
So we can have you people 2 times.
Let us talk.
I guess I was a bit
Not
trying to
individual.
feel Chief was becoming emotional. But if you watch a whole embassy burn down with human beings burnt alive,
I don't say
But that-
you become
they are not
bitter.
true. They are not true.
I don't say
They are
so.
not
They
true.
don't
You
say
see,
that there are
this
too
is what
much
I'm saying.
impact of social media.
They
It
throw a lot
allows
of garbage
Garbage
into
into
the
the
mail,
system.
which is not true. It's not even South
And some of
Africa.
them are not real.
Some
Yeah,
company
exactly.
in India,
Exactly.
they say South Africa.
Exactly.
That is
So
why
let's-
let us talk it in
That's why
Exactly.
Africa,
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not in
Don't buy
individual.
everything.
Okay, excuse me,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
Can we digress to at least the political aspect of it?
Yes.
Because we've been just dealing on the economic side and social side. The political, our leaders, what role are they playing to restore Africa?
Madam,
Wait.
the
No,
aim-
Wait,
No,
let-
wait.
let the question
Because
land.
I feel very bad that even Mugabe could go to a foreign land to go and die there. So no tangible hospital in any part of Africa.
Thank you very much.
And Mugabe stayed for all of those years. He could not negotiate for a solid hospital to be built in Africa.
Did
So
you see-
all the money he has been eating for years, where did it go? this is just Mugabe. So when we bring it down to Nigeria and to other distance, in what way have our political system played a role in this xenophobic term? Because if we have a solid political system that is good, I believe that the systems will not be going up and going down. Like when after 4 years, the new government come in, they begin to reissue contracts which they have given before. Okay? Time they would have used to consolidate the other contract, they use it to reissue contracts again. People are now making money again on contracts which they wouldn't finish before the end of their tenure. And then another tenure comes, they shift it, they dump what they have not finished to another term. So that's why we have no railways, and we have no solid schools, and we have no solid roads. So in what way are our politicians contributing to this mess?
Listen, if we had strong political systems in Africa, what happened in South Africa today could have taken a different tone. Because leaders, political systems, here we go, leaders could have said, South African Airlines flying into any African country is no longer allowed there until they fix the issue which is happening. This is true. These are steps that politically we could have taken.
But that's solution, eh?
Yeah, that is solution.
Okay.
That is solution. But you see, the political systems are not strong in our individual African continent, which is one reason why they are all very, quote unquote, silent.
Let me say this.
Let me
Look,
say
some South Africans, I would say beyond 30, are not aware of the sacrifices the continent took when they were under apartheid.
That is also true.
We boycotted sports. We boycotted some British items simply because we want them to be free. And this is how they are paying us back. You know, people sacrificed for Nelson Mandela to get out of prison.
Yeah.
The Ivory child that put Nelson Mandela and about 6 of his people in prison.
Yeah.
I think
Africans did a lot for South
Allow
Africa.
him. There's something I want to say. Wait,
Look, let me tell you. Last week, I learned of the daughter of Yvonne Chaka Chaka, a South African. Her daughter's shop has been attacked in South Africa and looted. Then I asked myself, are criminals behind the South Africans attacking people? It looks criminals are taking over the xenophobic attacks in South Africa.
But these
and the governments are quiet.
Okay,
AU is quiet. And it has given them the audacity or the effrontery to do what they are doing. It looks as if, I think the panacea
Some of them have been going to shops
Yes.
looking
Thank
for
you.
certain items they want to bring to their
Hometown.
and they had no money.
They are hungry.
So
Let me
The
come
only
in.
panacea here is
Yeah.
the African continent should boycott everything in South Africa
Thank you very much.
and let them live in their country alone in isolation.
I've
and
said
for the
fly their
people.
country,
Thank you very
Yes.
much. Excuse
Nobody
me.
should fly
Thank
them.
you, Chief. You made a very vital point. I've said a similar thing about AU should take action before in my first speech. But now I think we are on solution that will bring an end to this
solution
kind
when we've not discussed the political problems.
That's what we are
That's
saying.
not solution.
I had it from
We
you.
dare not
You
try to
said- you asked
solution.
him if
No.
it's
We dare
ordained
not
What
try
I
to-
mentioned
He
was
mentioned
more of a
solution.
solution.
Yeah.
Solution.
That's why.
And you
but we're not
concur.
there yet.
That's
We
why
have
I was
5
trying to
minutes
call
more.
him back.
identified
We have
that what he
5
said was
minutes
the solution,
more
but
to
once
round
that
up.
we are discussing solutions, we are not
I
discussing
think
the
to
political
boycott South
aspect.
Africa is no good thing. What we
Listen.
have to do is to support the political party in South Africa, which we come to continue with Mandela Agreement, like Malema. Yeah, the others, they go out of the program, which is bringing black South Africa deep and deep in the problem, in the poverty. They created a separated system of economy. So we have to support political party which hold in a Mandela Agreement. But what do? We ourselves, we don't know the problem of the solution of our problem. That is the problem of Africa. Republic Democratic of Congo, Nigeria, if you tell them something like a collectivism, is impossible. It's impossible. How do we get a good road, good hospital, if there is no collectivism? I don't like to
If there's
talk
no what?
Collectivism.
Oh, okay.
People are
I don't like to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
socialism because we fight, we hate, we block collectivism in our country. We run from there and come in Europe and we come to like it here. They have it here. Today, the West Europe, they're the most socialist country in the world. We hate it in our own country. No African intellectual, we can speak like I speak here. We think only individualism.
Yeah, it's true.
Individual. How we get good road? How we get hospital? How we get factory?
When we are not
If
united.
the country is not in the hand of a government,
no
government
accountability.
nationalize
It's
it
not
and they create all these things. We don't do it. We block it, we sabotage it, and we run. When we come to Europe, we come to like it. We feel comfortable in it. They do it. You see, nice road. In Holland, everything is nice. They have collectivism. You work, they collect tax from you. Contribution is a little bit, is a socialism. The Western countries are more socialist than even the communist China.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's also,
Well, yeah, if
that's
I'm
also-
going to
that's
comment
also
on
true.
the
But Nigeria,
political
Congo,
connotation between xenophobia and the attacks and the political side of it. Well, the truth remains that politics and our politicians have led to the collapse of the human family, which I mentioned from day one. Xenophobia doesn't know boundaries. The only difference is that South Africans have manifested it in a more brutal form. But the fact remains that even in this country where we are presently, if it wasn't curtailed, the Minda Moroccan slogan, which was initiated by a politician here, could have led to something similar to what happened in South Africa, but with a different undertone. Brexit is another form of xenophobia. What is happening in America today is another form of xenophobia vis-a-vis the dreamers and how people are being forcibly taken out of the United States. In Myanmar, the Rohingya Muslims have been killed in thousands.
Yes.
That's another manifestation of xenophobia. What has led to all these issues now? In Nigeria, the Arewa, the youth wing of Arewa People's Congress gave ultimatum to southern Nigerians to leave northern part of the country. If they didn't, people could have been killed in thousands. These are things that are happening now in our times now as a result of our policies haven't failed us. And now what are the consequences? Strange things are happening. So how do we really make sure that our society runs under the moral codes which they are supposed to to be run?
2 minutes.
We shouldn't neglect politics. We
Okay.
should make sure that the right people get into political offices, as a result of which they should represent what the
Okay,
society
so let me
stand for.
just
Then how do
make
we
the
know
last
who
point,
are the
please.
right people? Because
Let me say something
wait,
short here.
because people will say they are right.
We
It
think
is-
we
when they
think
present some
democracy.
It is very obvious. It's very
They
clear.
present
to know.
some kind
you
face.
You can
Yes.
tell.
And
you
then
can tell
they
the
go
difference.
in.
You know.
Helen, you
Only
can
to
tell the
become
difference
corrupted
between
again.
the campaign slogan of somebody like Donald Trump and the campaign slogan of somebody like Barack Obama. The difference is very clear.
Yeah.
With the campaign slogan, if you get him into office, you get what you are supposed to get.
You're using a very wrong example.
Xenophobia,
In Africa, you would have talked the campaign
Exactly.
slogan of all the politicians
That's
in
what I
Nigeria.
want to hear.
Yeah. What's the
Xenophobia
difference? What do they
is
say?
not-
What do they do with the country?
Exactly.
bad in
Yeah.
South
South
Africa.
Africa.
The difference is that.
Xenophobia is a wicked nature of human being. It's a disease of human being. It can be in the heart of any person. We cover it. It's no mad in South Africa.
I think he's right to an extent.
You understand?
To an
It's,
extent.
yes.
I said it in the
We
beginning.
have
Yeah.
Everywhere.
dark.
Yeah.
Is a fear. Is a hunger.
You even have to be
evilness.
careful over
It's
the
like a
country you're in.
it's like a benzene, petrol. You just light it.
And then it ignites.
It take it. It's not mad in South Africa.
But let me put it this way.
We have
Sir,
We-
we heard you. Let me hear from the people from the back.
He wanted to go, so you
All
go.
right, go.
Okay.
You have 1 minute to round up.
Yeah, okay. No, rightly in what we just said, like I mentioned in the beginning, that it is not inherent in South Africa. It is everywhere.
Exactly.
But there are elements of cultural development, political development, and economic development that subdue that aggression that could come out from any person who is xenophobic in nature. So that attack will not be experienced because we are economically developed, we are enlightened. So the difference now is that is what also you notice in people who are doing this in South Africa. They are the poorest people, the uneducated, unemployed, people who live in the shadows of creeks in South Africa. Those are people that are actively pursuing this menace on South Africa. If we have time to discuss about the solution, I'll some other time.
They are the majority.
No, then you see that's why when we discuss about the solutions, you will see maybe we'll have opportunity to talk about how enlightenment will help. I think my brother mentioned that during the time of apartheid, that the South Africans were not enlightened, were not educated on how Africa,
the rest of Africa,
helped them. That's
right.
what I would also want to discuss during the
system.
I think they must have, because
we will discuss that because it will help to understand how
please, before we round up, there's one thing I want to point out, because I'm not the type that like dragging talking when too many people are struggling to talk. I find it very difficult to talk. A lot of things I would have liked to say here, but you see, so you can see there is no much time for me.
There will be time, don't worry.
So in case of some other time. So what I'm trying to say is that on a very strong term, all the African nations, their leadership had failed their people.
Yes.
I want to state it categorically here on a Majesty Christian television today, that all the African leaders had failed their people. Let's take it from that very point. Thank you very much.
Chief, to add a little bit to what you have said, the world, I will say, imposed democracy on us, that it is better than tyranny. But if you go to Africa, the democracy that we are practicing there is winner takes all. One particular party comes to power and it belongs to them.
Yes.
Whereas in Europe, they are coalition governments.
Yes.
About three, even here in Holland, there are 3, 4, 5 parties coming together to form a government. Why the differences in this type of democracy? We Africans, our political leaders, don't think about the masses. And Switzerland is ready to keep the money. There was a Nigerian lady minister who went to Britain, and the amount of money she is stolen, and the house, she alone,
yes.
And the houses she owned,
we know her.
You know her. And then, whereas Nigerians are walking on the high seas and the desert to come to Europe, and this lady alone.
Can't follow this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Politically, as Africa,
they have failed our people.
We don't have systems in Africa that is able to address what is actually happening in Africa today. And like the chief said, seriously, African political leaders from all the various countries on the continent have failed the people.
Yes.
We must have all international
seriously failed the people.
You know?
Failed the people.
Because they should be louder than us
situated in Africa
here
to condemn what was happening in South Africa.
They are all quiet.
Well, so if I'm going to make my own last minute contribution, my contribution will come in a way of message to xenophobic attackers in South Africa, in the sense that no country can do it on its own. No country is an island. We have one, the world is one global village. So instead of you going out to attack somebody whom you think has made it in your land, you could have taken the task upon yourself to really copy the style of those people. If they can make it to your land, you can make it better than they do. If I'm going to chip in something regarding how politicians have failed us in Africa, I can say there are two sides to this coin. We also have failed ourselves in Africa. It's not only our politicians.
I disagree with you.
Case in point is what recently happened in Nigeria. We had a very, very good government running, which has made Nigeria to be the fastest growing economy in the whole of Africa. All of a sudden, everybody started shouting for change. And we have gotten the change, and where has that change led us?
Let's not go into that.
My last talking is
yes.
my last speak is that
I have something.
What I would like to say.
Okay, you forgot it. Well,
To be continued.
on this note,
To be continued.
Wait,
on
wait,
this
what,
note,
what,
no,
I,
no,
would-
it's
I would-
okay.
what I
Next
would like
time.
to say that is immigration. We have to know that immigration is not solution of our problem. That we have to know. And we have to immigrate. If it is to immigrate, we have to immigrate to rich country, not to poor country. Let's see, like as Arab did. Millions of Arabs, they come to Europe. They don't go to Arab countries because they will get the same problem. They come to the rich country. South Africa, they have problem. Black South Africa, they are living underground system of economy. The European South Africa, they have everything. Well, I don't blame them. As you say, we are not here to blame the
And your time is up.
Madam,
So if
can,
you go there,
can
if
Africa
you go
unite?
there, if you go there,
Can Africa unite?
If you agree, I will agree. And we
Thank
can
you.
move.
Thank you.
When two
Can
agree, we
we
move.
can we unite?
Well, on
immigrate in
this
the rich country.
Chief, can we
Immigrate in the
unite?
rich
Why
country.
not? If we
this-
agree and I agree, we move.
Well, it has been very interesting. On this note, we are bringing this very broadcast to a close, and I want to use this opportunity to thank every one of you for your wonderful contributions. So the diasporans from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Congo, they have spoken their heart concerning this xenophobic attack in South Africa. We have condemned it, and we think it is bad. But somehow, we did not finish what we wanted to discuss today, so maybe next week we have to continue. But on a serious note, our political system in Africa must be corrected. So, and those of you also, the social aspect of it, whereby the women from South Africa, they are really commenting our men and saying that they are very good. It is good, but I want to stand for the women from Africa that please don't always go to those women who would want you to spend all your money on them. Go back home. Please go back home. We have better wives at home. Thank you so much, and then that is it for now.
Thank you too.
I hope you will get this very clip, and then you can play it again and again. Gentlemen,
Okay.
thank you. I love all of you. God richly bless.
We love you too.
Love you too. Thank you.
Hallelujah. I'm so excited to be